All right, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. This is going to be your Friday sit rep for August 27th, 2021. And so as we continue to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic, let's get into this. And so without further ado, let's jump over to the board. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell for notification so you get the latest and greatest when they roll out. And so for today's sit rep, we're going to start out here over the U.S., just take a close look at a couple things, and then we're going to bounce over to Europe. Looks like we've got currently an R-135 out over the Atlantic. Again, that's a spy craft. Don't see those out here very often. And so this is West Palm Beach. So kind of give you a general bearing of where that would be equal to on the outside. Looks like got a couple fighters up in that general area too. So, and a little bit of thunderstorms. So, there is that. Now, if you look at, in general, what's going on across the U.S., we're sitting at about 255 up. Little light. I do see a lot of two ships in terms of C-130s and a lot of air refuelers up, which would indicate we got a lot of fighters. A couple C-17s, which are some heavies. A lot of congestion here across the center of the U.S. and in the Panhandle, as always, when it comes to the trainers. And let me just double check something here. I thought I did see a B-52 up a minute ago, but maybe not. Now there's another spy bird. That's a C-135 and looks to be rolling out of South Texas, headed northbound. And so, and then it looks like a couple, what is that, a 4-ship of C-130s headed westbound. And probably more than that there. That's just what we're seeing right now. But those bad dudes are probably, let me back up a little bit and see where they're coming out of. And Little Rock. Yeah, so it looks like they're coming out of around Little Rock, Arkansas. So, okay, so that's a 4-ship. Got a couple fighters right here flying tight. You can see them here. And I would imagine, I got another couple C-130s headed westbound there. I would imagine as we get closer to 9/11, given the situation in Afghanistan, that things are going to get, security is going to go up and things are going to get a little bit wonky. So we'll keep our eye out here as we get closer to that date. But keep in mind, too, next weekend is Friday, a week from today, is when everything basically is supposed to be vacated out of Afghanistan. And so I want to pay close attention to that because I think between now and then it's probably going to get stupid. And on top of that, once we hit that date, it's going to get really, really bad because there's going to be a lot of people left behind. All right. So that said, let's get over here real fast. I'm going to look at this closer in just a second. But this is going to be Flashbang Schedule. Now, you'll notice he is getting up at the crack of dawn, 8 a.m., with his initial briefing. It looks like he jumps right in at 8:30 for some Afghan situation. And then it looks like we've got the Prime Minister of Israel, the new Prime Minister, Bennett, rolling into the hizzy. It's going to be 10:30 and 10:55. So I would imagine this guy right here has got some pretty big concerns based on Flashbang's screw up, okay? And so he's probably wanting to get some reassurance from him that, that they're not just going to walk away from this, but, they are. So, okay. And so there is that. Now let's get over here to the TFRs, just kind of break it through. Got a couple really big storm systems coming in. This one's developing. Expect it to be a Cat 3. I would imagine it will probably be higher than that because it always does. And it'll probably happen right before it gets onto the shore here. But it looks like it's going to impact around southern Louisiana, pretty close to New Orleans, okay? But there's that. That's going to be international. Space station floating across the U.S. It seems to be on that same track every time I come through here. I don't know why, but these right here, all of these red boxes, for the most part, fires, okay? Brown zone, that's going to be a standard TFR, always there. These other little yellow ones in here are air shows, go figure. Now, as we get down here, I will point one thing out I thought was interesting. If you remember, not too long ago, we were actually looking at aircraft that were leaving Guantanamo Bay coming to Key West. And I said how the DOJ was down there. We had the base commander from Guantanamo Bay there. And I was speculating that it looked like maybe there were some trials or some sort going on down here in the Keys. But that right there is a TFR that's a security TFR over that same area. So don't know if it means anything, but just going to point that out. I just thought it was interesting. Don't see that very often. And then if we get over here, one other thing that caught my eye, sorry. We have this one that's a space operations TFR. And then we've got these, which are volcanic TFRs. And so there's a volcano eruption right here, which is a hazards, and one right out here. Don't see those very often either. Not on here. So at least not this app. Okay. All right. That's going to be our TFRs for right now. We're going to back out of this. We've already looked at Flashbang Schedule. We're going to kick it off today over here on Guantanamo Bay. Just to kind of get a general feel what's going on. We haven't looked at it in a little while. Then we'll look at some of the Gitmo birds, see what they've been up to. And then we're going to break into Biggs and get a closer look at Afghanistan, okay? All right, now, this is Guantanamo Bay. Currently today, looks like we've got on the board for arrivals, we have our N631JS. That one has been regular Tuesday, Friday, so I think that's part of the tempo now. That's a Delta airline coming out of Andrews up in the brown zone. That's out of tempo, okay? And looks like it rolled in at 12:20, and it looks like it is rolling outbound, headed to back to actually the ATL. So more than likely that's going to be a deadhead flight, nobody on it. Going back to ATL this afternoon about 5:42 p.m. Now, these are the planes that are actually scheduled or on the docket. And so it looks like this one's coming back again. It's going to be 631JS. It's one of your little feeder birds. Again, looks like it's doing Tfrs on Friday, which is interesting. This one is going to be Airborne Express from Norfolk, Virginia. And the other is going to be our Legal Eagle Uber, which is coming out of Jacksonville at Sun Country. Now, one thing that is interesting is that this Norfolk, we were, for a little while there, we were watching everything come out of Charleston. That seems to change back to Norfolk, Virginia. So, all right, there you have that. That's going to be Guantanamo Bay. Now, let's get over and look at some of the birds. This is going to be one of your gray birds that operated by, it's a Sandwings LLC, but they're actually operated by Phoenix Air. And landed 3 hours, 46 minutes ago. It's out here in Africa and headed up to Stuttgart, Germany. And so don't know what they're doing, but just a general, remember that's an agency bird, okay? All right. Now, 301AZ is what we call the white birds. Don't know that they exist, but if there were ever a white bird or a white hat bird, it would be this one, okay? This one looks like it's rolling out of Lauderdale right now, headed up to Ottawa, Canada. Landing in about 1 hour, 22 minutes. Now, if we go back and look at the history of this, you're going to see that yesterday it was actually in Opelika, which is one of our watch sites. All right, Black Ops site. Okay, these two, Opelika and Lauderdale. All right. Now, 302 AZ landed 18 minutes ago, and it's down. It was out here again. Opelika went up to Little Rock, Arkansas. So it looks like both of our white hat birds are down here in Opelika doing something. Not really sure what, but again, black site. All right. It looks like it is going on tomorrow out of the black site, headed over to the Bahamas, shakedown, and then back over to Lauderdale to the other black operation. Okay. All right, now, one thing I did want to pop in, because we haven't looked at this one in a while. This is going to be your Sniffer Helicopter, or the Sniffer Helo, as we call. This is N412DE. This is out over D.C., flying around the brown zone. Now, those not familiar with this helicopter, this is actually, it's equipped with all kinds of sensors on it and cameras, and it's basically taking air quality samples as it flies. And if there's ever any type of a nuclear or a dirty bomb or anything along those lines, biological, chemical, that bad dude will smell it, all right? And so, yeah, if I threw you off and I said the Sniffer, I wasn't talking about Marine One. I was talking about this particular helicopter that we haven't watched in a while. So it looks like it rolled out a day ago. It was over there in Virginia, Newport News, and then it was rolling up to Camp Springs. Now, I don't know how close that is to where they're landing all these poppies from Afghanistan, but I do find it kind of interesting that this thing has been flying around that general area. If you go back and look, this is altitude line, right? So you can see that bad dude was popped up pretty low altitude, flew up about 2,000 feet, dropped back down almost ground level. And the whole time that thing is just getting air quality samples, different altitudes, okay? But you can see it was flying around, did a couple loops here in this general area, same thing here, and then back into the brown zone, all right? So again, just a data point, but as we get closer to 9/11, as I've mentioned many times, this whole area right in here is a prime location for a dirty bomb. So, if they ever get into here and they get up in here, this actually water inlet actually runs right up by the White House, and so it wouldn't take much to get in here and make a mess. All right, so pretty big watch area. So they do that a lot. All right, okay. Let's break away from all this other stuff. Let's get over to the Afghanistan poppies coming inbound. And this is going to be Biggs Army Airfield. And so it's located right here near El Paso. And just to kind of show you what we're looking for are Southwest airline flights that are arriving. And so you can see here's one this morning, or actually that was last night, 7 p.m. came out of Washington Dulles. Now, each one of those contain about 175 seats. And so that will, so 175, 175. So every time you see that, just think you got 175 new poppies coming inbound. Notice again, Washington, 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 Washington. These are all just back to back to back flights coming inbound. So there's 4 flights right there. And then if you go over here to the en route and scheduled, you got 4 more. Those are different than these above. And so all Washington. So that's 8 flights just for on the docket right now. 8 flights a day coming out of Washington going to Biggs Army Airfield. All right. Then you can see where they're actually round robin. Look like they're headed back here. Departures headed back over to Baltimore, Washington. Okay. So, and then here's one too. We're going to kind of now go away from the poppies, and we're going to look at the bananas. And this is the ones that are coming from Central and South America, Mexico. And we have a new base that they're flying out of. This one popped on my radar here just a couple of days ago. When I say base, it's just a normal airport. It's not a military base. But Harlingen, Texas, which is just north. So you got Brownsville, right here. And so this is this location. They seem to be kind of going away. Now they're still flying into Brownsville, but this is a new operation. But if you go down and look, here is one landed at 6:15 this morning, came in from Phoenix to that location. Another one came in from San Antonio to that location. And then another San Antonio, Alexandria, which is your 72-hour holding facility for processing. And then one came in from Houston. So that's Southwest, and these are all Swift. So it looks like Southwest is in on the game big time now. And but yeah, so that is a new location for them. They're basically flying in and out of this new little airport just north of Brownsville. So that's right over our border, okay? Okay. Now let's get over here. This is going to be Laughlin Air Force Base. This is the other location. I'm going to show you something because this caught my eye. They're wiping the board, so they don't want us knowing that they're landing these aircraft there. So they're physically wiping the board. They just did it within the time that I pulled this up to the time I'm talking about it. Let me get over here to arrivals, and we're just going to go through it. I'm going to show you. Here's one right here landed yesterday. That is going to be Swift Air again coming out of San Antonio. Here's another one on Tuesday. All right. Now, if I go over here to departures, let's get over here to scheduled departures. No, let me see here. If I can get this one. All right. These actually took place departure wise. There's one right there, Alexandria, but there's no record of that coming in. So that was on Thursday. If you just go back to the regular arrival boards, I wish my screen would stop doing that. So, yeah, it's they've been basically just cleaning the board as it goes through, and they're only showing all of these local military flights coming in and out, and these things have been getting erased from it. So they are certainly trying to hide the fact that they're bringing people continuously into Laughlin, all right, which, again, Air Force Base, just like Biggs Army Airfield. Now, I have a theory. The reason they're doing this is because that's a federal installation and state laws don't apply to them. And so they can do whatever they want. And so the feds are basically just flying them into this and totally ignoring what the local state governor of Texas is telling us. Okay. And so by putting them there, you don't have to comply with anything. They could also be going through training. They could be doing a lot of different things. It does appear that it's the males that are going to the military bases. And it looks like they're sending the females and kids and everything through San Antonio, but they're processing them across the border and flying them across the borders. And so the entire Texas border is under attack from south all the way up to, the west top north side there in El Paso. Okay, now let's get into the specifics of the aircraft themselves. And so this is in 430XA. I want to point this one out because it landed 16 minutes ago, but it's down in South America. And so they are picking up folks, and that will end up, mark my word, it'll end up here in Brownsville or McAllen or somewhere, or San Antonio, depending on who's on it. But they got another plane load of bananas coming in. All right. This one, if you look here for Friday, it was in Puerto Rico, and then it popped down. So it rolled out of Puerto Rico. But yesterday, it was at the processing center in Louisiana, Alexandria, 72-hour processing center, and then from there it went down to Puerto Rico. This thing actually has been going down. Take a look at this. You've got Bogota, Colombia, right here to Alexandria. So I really doubt they're bringing people home and taking them back. They're probably bringing them in and processing them. So just pay close attention to this because what we're seeing are a lot of males coming in and they're going to military installations, which ought to be, from a patriot perspective, our spidey senses ought to be going off pretty regularly right now. So, all right, N629SW. This one is scheduled. Just wanted to point out it's coming out of Honduras, headed into Ecuador. And it'll probably end up here in San Antonio because that looks like that's kind of where it's been. So if you look at this one during the week, it's been, there's that Harlingen again in Texas over to San Diego. So they're moving them from here. I guess that must be a new hotbed where they're showing up, which is pretty well inside the border, which tells you they're probably taking ice buses over to that airport and flying them out. Okay. All right. N964CE, this is landed 2 hours, 11 minutes ago, came out of Laredo, Texas, went down to Nicaragua, and that just continues to go. That one was in Oakland, California on Wednesday, back over to Laredo. Then it looked like it went Laredo down here. I would imagine over the weekend you will see it come out of Nicaragua and headed into, San Antonio or somewhere here inside of Texas. All right. Now let's go look at some of the live flights that are through. This is Aeronaves, which is a Mexican airline. You can see them coming in and out of Yucatan into Miami. That's a pretty regular flight. And then this one here, let me kind of get down here. It looks like that's Greenville, South Carolina to Laredo. Laredo over to, I don't know where that is. I have to see. That's Mexico. Then it looks like they've got a couple here. Donaldson into Shreveport, Miami to Cancun, Miami into the Yucatan. All right. Okay. We are literally under siege. Like this entire border is collapsed, and these folks we're literally, give that some thought, folks. Literally, we're picking people up from other countries and flying them into our country over the borders. There is no immigration policy. We're basically just stamping them, bringing them into our country. 85% of them coming out of Central America, South America, and Mexico are males. And then we got them coming straight from Afghanistan directly into Texas. And 90% of what's getting on the airplanes are male. And what's funny, because the media is not telling you that it's 90% males. Matter of fact, they're not telling you anything at all. They're talking about, if you watch the optics, it's all women and children coming on. But like I said, we've got somebody on ground that's taking photos and watching all of us go down, and they're the ones that are reporting it's 90% males getting on there. So we need to be paying close attention to that, because that, my friends, is going to be stealth jihad. That's how you take over a country, is you bring in fighting age males, and you just keep populating to the point that you've overpopulated, and you end up with small communities, and then they become bigger communities. And so it happened to England. It's happened all over the world now. We see it up here in Michigan and in Minnesota, right? So, okay, now let's get over here real fast and just take a look at what the this is going to be in 721AL. This is actually the DOJ, Department of No Justice. Looks like they're actually flying out of Memphis, Tennessee, and actually returning right now back. So they've been down here in Memphis. I don't know what they're doing down there, but they're headed back up to Manassas. So they came in this morning and did a quick turn. All right. So there is that. Again, that's a data point. I don't know what the DOJ is up to in Memphis, but again, just a data point. All right. Okay. Now let's get over here real fast and let me do a refresh on that, because that should not have happened. You can see this is your the dark line coming across, so it's actually nighttime there, coming up at 9 o'clock in Afghanistan. And so we just kind of get eyes on what's going on. Notice the area over this is just void. There's nobody. Everybody's flying around it. I'm kind of surprised to see all this aircraft over Iran. That's kind of an interesting thing. We are definitely not flying over that area. So, but looks like they've shut down. There is one right there, is probably one of the last ones for this evening. Other than, we start getting a closer look over here on the map. Let me pull this over, and this is what is currently airborne. But again, they're not flying into Afghanistan. I think it's because the threat levels are exponentially high right now, and so they're probably being a little cautious on what times of day they fly in and out. All right, so look to be stacked up right here in transition. So, okay, we'll continue to watch that one. Again, I think as we get into later in the day and over the weekend, this is going to be a really interesting area to watch. Now, one of the things I will point out, this is going to be this is Kabul Airport. All right, you have one runway, okay, and it's split. So this section over here is going to be U.S. military controlled. This side over here is going to be civilian controlled, and it's again, it's a hotbed. And if you go just a little bit north of this, for one, you've got a mountain range or a set of mountains that oversee that airport, which is a really bad situation, because that gives people pretty good eyes on, and from a mortar perspective or anything along those lines, it could get pretty ugly, sniper wise too. All right. Now, Bagram Army Airfield is just north. That's up in this general area, I think. Let me just see if I can get it to pull here real fast. There we go. All right, let's get over here to that. All right, so this is going to be Bagram. Now, this is a spot we're going to watch, because this is where our surveillance has been doing a lot of time over this general area. I think that's because we know this is going to be a stronghold for them. We've got ISIS and the Taliban working very closely together, operating out here. That's where we left a majority of our equipment. And so they are well armed and well funded, and looks like they're getting very organized, and this will be their home hub as they operate out of. And so, again, that is just a hop, skip, and a jump from Kabul. Of course, you got to get over the mountain range, but it is, like I said, nonetheless, just there's Kabul right here. So, yeah, just right on the other side of the mountains. Okay, so we'll continue to watch this. I think come Friday next week, things are going to get a little bit ugly, and so again, we'll watch it and see what happens. But keep them in your prayers. Going to be a lot of people left behind, and I think this is going to get pretty ugly. So, all right, folks, listen, that's going to be it for our SITREP for Friday, and I will be back on Monday with the latest and greatest. You guys be safe out there. God bless. Monkey out. You can check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworksus.com.